Listen Fast, Listen First delivers real-time, authentic stories told by successful Connecticut business owners and community leaders. You'll hear pivotal moments of risk-taking, failure, adaptability, and resilience that all lead to success. And now, the host of Listen Fast, Listen First, Alex Horton.
My next guest is Neil Holme, CEO of Impact Business Technology in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Neil started his company in 2001, and today it has 15 full-time employees providing IT solutions in areas of tech support, cloud services, cybersecurity, and consulting. Neil began his career over 20 years ago working for firms that offered good tech services, but prices that were too high for most small businesses. He started Impact Business Technology to change that and to bring high-quality, leading-edge tech services to businesses at a fair price. Today, they're not just known for their tech expertise, but for the best-in-class white-glove service for each client. Please welcome the founder and chief geek, Neil Holme.
Hey, good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Likewise. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Here we are. So leaving 20 years ago, leaving a W-2 paycheck and opening Impact Technology, how hard of a decision was that for you?
It was something that I'd been thinking about for a while. My wife and I had just got married, I think. It was right around that time, and she had a solid paycheck, so that helped out a lot. So I guess I always knew that it was something I wanted to do for myself. I just needed that springboard.
So it was a family decision, but have you always had an entrepreneurial gene?
I don't think so.
No?
I just like being my own boss. It's. I guess I don't play well with others.
So, what we find nowadays is it seems like everybody is entrepreneurial. Everybody wants to start a business. But, running a business is not just about technical expertise. It's about a lot of other things, isn't it, Neil?
It is. I complain about this all the time. When I'm dealing with another issue, I'll say, all I ever wanted to do was fix computers. But, I've now got to deal with my payroll taxes, my sales tax, my hiring and firing, the lease on my office space. It's a lot more than just doing the job that you want to do. But there's also a lot of help out there as well.
Right. And when you're looking to bring somebody new onto the team, what are you looking for in qualities and skills, and what's first for you?
So we're a technical services firm, and every one of our employees right now is a technician first. We don't have any back office staff. We don't have any sales staff. So we focus entirely on the ability for someone to deliver customer service. It's a relationship business that we're in. The services that we provide happen to be IT in nature, but it's service first. So we hire for that ability for a technician to communicate, for a technician to be able to relate to the customer, and it makes a huge difference. Then I can teach them the technical skills they need. So they may come to us with a computer science degree or an associate's degree, or they come to me with certifications. That proves to me that they know what they're talking about. But if they can't communicate with me, if they can't relate to the problems, if they've got no empathy, then they don't have a place in our business.
So how hard is empathy in terms of you're interviewing somebody? How do you find out if somebody's empathetic in an interview?
I haven't figured that out yet. So it's a feeling we get.
Yeah.
It's how confident they are during the interview process. And we have technical tests as part of the interview process. But, for us, I have a 20-page written test that we give them. The people that get jobs commonly score about 9% on that test. But it's how they approach the test. It's how confident they are in their answers, and it's how they talk about it when we tell them the results. If you got a 9% in school, you were kicked out. 9% gets you a job with me, because we actually do the test a little different, whereby it's a multiple choice test, but you get -1 for a wrong answer. You get 1 for a passing answer, because this reflects real life. This is, if you give the wrong answer to someone, that's damaging. I'd rather you say, I don't know, and let's escalate the issue.
Interesting.
So,
did you develop this test yourself, Neil?
I did.
And so I would imagine, just like anything in running a business, you tweak things, you learn by your own mistakes. You didn't have this test 15, 20 years ago, right? Why did you start to develop these things in your business?
So we're an IT generalist, right? So we touch every aspect of IT for our customers. We're the only IT resource that they have. So the world of IT is vast. And I want my employees to know a little bit of everything and then specialize in something. So we developed this test to cover as much of the IT spectrum as we can, so I know where their specialties are. And we give the same test to our employees and see where they fall in terms of what perhaps they are more interested in, what they are more proficient in, so that when an issue comes in, I know where to send it.
Interesting. So what's the highest test score anybody's ever received?
I got 100.
All right, good. That's exactly how it should be, right?
I wrote the test, so I better.
That's right. So in terms of employees, I get thinking about this a lot nowadays, where in the insurance world, in my business, the average age of employees, it's definitely a young person is in their 40s in insurance, but in the tech world, I would imagine it's probably quite a bit younger. Isn't that right?
I would say so. I don't know what our average age is, but it's dropping. As I get older, the average age of my employees is dropping.
And the makeup of the employees, we hear a lot about millennials, and they have a different work ethic and so forth. Is that something that you see? Is there anything noticeable there? Looking at our generation versus the new generation that we're hiring.
So, yeah, there are some stereotypes of millennials, and I've hired one which swore me off them for life, but it was around that time that we changed our hiring practices, whereby we hire first on character and work ethic, and not technical ability. So we learned, and there's plenty of people out there that do want to work, that are dedicated, that do want to learn. And those are the ones that we seek out.
Fair enough. So talk to me a little bit about Impact Business Technology, kind of your specialty. What makes you stand apart?
It's that service. So, anybody can fix a computer. Anybody can sell you a server. Anyone can get you into the cloud. It's the service that we bring. You mentioned we're white glove. It's more than that. We understand the business that our customers are in, and we use that understanding to give them the right solutions. At the base level, everyone needs a computer, everyone needs an email address, and those are commodity items. But it's the items on the fringe, the way we customize things, the way we make it accessible, the way we make it secure, or when they need help, because computers do break, God bless them, otherwise I wouldn't have a business. It's how quickly we respond. If the computer's broken, I'll have a spare there within a couple of hours, so that the customer gets the best experience possible. Your IT system should be a tool. Your IT system should work for you, and so many times we find that the other way around. You end up working for your IT. You end up working the way your computers were set up, rather than setting up the computers the way you want to work. So,
working with businesses, what's your sweet spot? Whether it's an industry or a size of a client, what would your typical business look like?
So we're in Fairfield County, and you can't throw a stick here without hitting some sort of professional service firm. So that's where we have gravitated to. professional services firms, financial, law firms, insurance brokers, you all work the same way that we do. You provide a service and you get paid for that service. So there's a better understanding, you of us and us of you. We understand the way the businesses work. We understand what it takes to make the business successful. So we end up with a good success rate there. But also, those are the people that are highly regulated. And with regulation normally comes more IT. So that's also good for business, but it's also an area where we can excel and provide the business with good service.
So with all these companies like my own pushing out social media and putting their company at risk with hackers and ransomware and all that, can you explain to us a little bit about offense and defense, setting up the right offense, setting up the right defense as a company owner?
So offensively is a tough nut. Offensive cybersecurity is potentially illegal. We try not to do that. Like hacking back when you find something that's going on. We limit that to reconnaissance rather than offense. But defense is most of what we do. Providing the right layers of protection, putting the right systems in place that will detect and automatically remediate when security events are discovered. And frankly, it's a bottomless bucket. You could keep pouring money into security defenses, and you can never spend enough. There's always something more you can do. The trick really is finding what the right balance of solutions is for the customer. What's their tolerance of risk? What mitigating controls can we put in place? And how much risk can we offset to insurance, for example?
So how many hackers are there that are looking? I know it's a hard answer, but how many people are out there working full-time in, within the ransomware hacker space, going after small businesses?
I'm not sure there's a number. So a lot of these are greatly amplified hacking attempts. So you'll find one hacker can put out what they call a spray and pray attack, where they'll spray hundreds of thousands or millions of phishing emails out there, or there's a way to search the internet for vulnerable mail servers. So a couple of weeks ago, there was an issue with Microsoft Exchange mail servers where they were vulnerable. I can download a list of vulnerable mail servers and start attacking them. One person can implement millions of attacks. So it's not a question of how many people out there. It's the tools that these hackers have available to them to actually find a vulnerable system and exploit it.
So what I've been told in the insurance world, what I've been told is I think it was 2018, the average ransomware, and I want you to talk about ransomware in a second, but the average ransomware, the payout was about $15,000, and now just a few years later, it's over $225,000 average payout for ransomware. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we look at this from an economic model, right? When the hackers successfully implement ransomware, and what it used to be was, you would infect someone's personal computer, and when you look at the economic model, what's the ability of that person to pay? And if you've hacked someone's personal computer and wiped out all of their photos, what are they willing to pay to get that back? Versus now, if you manage to execute a ransomware on a large corporation, their ability to pay and their willingness to pay is greatly increased. So that's what's happened. They've shifted from what I mentioned before, these spray and pray attacks where they'll attack your own computer. And those have been largely mitigated by the ability to put stuff in the cloud. So your iPhone photos are now all backed up in the cloud. If you lose your computer, it's not a big deal. You can just restore everything. Versus a larger corporation now has a much more complex IT structure. Their ability to protect and recover from a ransomware attack is much more complicated. so they're more willing to pay or more likely to pay.
So a law firm with, let's say it's not a large law firm in terms of corporate, but it's 20, 30 employees. They have a lot to lose. And what incentive does that hacker have to freeze their system and to demand a ransom? What would you expect in a situation like that?
So ransomware has evolved from, when it used to be your own computer, you'd visit a web page and your computer would get encrypted. Now they've evolved because they know how people react to ransomware. It used to be you'd have to either wipe out your system, pay the ransom, and maybe get a token back that would unencrypt your system. Now what they do is they sit on the network of a target corporation for a while, and they perform reconnaissance. And so they learn how your backups are running. They learn where your data is stored, where the crown jewels are, where the data is that you really need. And when they execute the ransomware, they also destroy your backups. So you cannot recover, which again raises the likelihood that your organization will have to pay the ransom. And that's really what this is about. It's just the economic model. So now what they do is we've got better backups now. So we store a copy of backups off-site that the hackers can't get to if the network is compromised. So we can always recover if a ransomware attack occurs. So they evolve again. Now what the ransomware does is it'll actually take a copy of your data and truly hold it to ransom. They'll say, I'll release this data publicly if you don't pay the ransom. And so if your corporation holds a lot of personally identifiable information, names, social security numbers, bank accounts, that kind of thing, the regulatory fine for that data being released by you or through your network is sometimes greater than paying the ransom. So you pay the ransom. And the hackers know this. The hackers know what the value of your data is. Or it could be corporate secrets, your intellectual property. They could steal plans, they could steal designs, and those would be released, which is hugely damaging to your business. Difficult to put a number on that, and they know this, so they can raise the ransom.
I recall being in an insurance symposium several years back, and they had a representative from the FBI talking about to pay or not to pay. And it flat out scared me. I mean, what he said was, it's not like we can go chase these people down. Now, this was several years ago, but to pay or not to pay, that's the question, right? How do you handle that, or what's your experience?
So I have a moral and ethical objection to paying the ransom. Again, coming back to this economical model for the hackers. If they are successful, it will proliferate the attacks. If they are not successful, if they don't get paid, they're going to try something else. But by paying them, it works. They'll do it again, and it's rewarding criminal behavior. So we actually had some news articles out. They were last year. So 2020 was a particularly bad year for ransomware. And we saw lots of municipalities that got hit. So a municipality is typically underfunded for their IT. It'll be using aged equipment. They don't have the right services in place. But when they get ransomed and their systems are down, the town shuts down. The kids can't go to school because the computers in the school are all dead. The town can't process its basic services because it can't pick up the garbage because there's no computers. And what we found was the insurance companies encouraged them to pay the ransom because the cost of that ransom was less than the cost of doing a full recovery because they didn't have good systems in place. But again, that just goes against my moral fiber. I won't reward criminal behavior.
Right. No, it makes sense, and I couldn't agree more. It's a tough situation to be in. So what would be one or two pieces of advice, just in general, for a business to play a little defense, whether they were working with you at Impact or not, what would you tell somebody? Just, fundamental stuff.
So you must have good backups. Your backups are the things that are going to help you recover from an event. And those backups must be stored offsite and encrypted so the hackers can't get to them. So no matter what happens to your network in your office or wherever you store your data, you should have a copy of that data somewhere else so you can bring it back to life.
Okay. All right.
And then there's some of the layers of security that we can put in place. So your users should be well trained. They should be aware of the types of scams, the types of attacks that they're likely to see. Your users are the first and last line of defense that you've got. They're the ones that will be the targets of these attacks, and this is the social engineering side of things. Why would the hacker spend hours and hours trying to break through your firewall when I can just ask you for your password and you'll give it to me? Social engineering is the number one attack vector. Your users should be able to recognize this, but also recognize when they've been tricked. And it happens more than we'd like to admit. So you should be able to prevent it and then recognize what's happened afterwards. Having done that, recognize what's happened, the third thing that we need to put in place is a response procedure. What happens when? What do we do next? Do we run around the office unplugging everything? Maybe. What are our defense strategies once we know there's been an attack? And like I say, it's a bottomless bucket after that. There are so many other things we can do. And as ransomware evolves, like I say, now they actually take a copy of your data and hold it to ransom. So we have to be able to detect when data is leaving your network.
So finally, on this subject, so my question would be, if municipalities and insurance companies and large entities are being hacked and held for ransom, do the small businesses have a chance?
Yeah, the availability of the cloud and the services and the security that the cloud can bring you is one of the best answers here. If you put your data in the cloud with someone like Microsoft, they spend billions and billions of dollars a year on security and have the systems in place that can detect and protect and automatically respond, that would cost a small business themselves to do this, millions of dollars, and it's just not worth it. But you can get those services because Microsoft deploy them at scale. So the cloud is one of the best answers we've got. And the good news is this is an industry. The industry responds to the market. So there is a need for security training. There is a need for advanced security protections. The solutions are out there, and they're fairly well commoditized. So it's easy to consume, easy to buy, easy to use.
Great. Well, I really appreciate this conversation. I mean, there's so much going on, and to be a small business owner today is more challenging than in the past because of issues like this, where you've worked hard for the past, let's say 20 years in your case, to build up a business, and then some hacker that is far away, in a foreign country, doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, but destroys everything that you've built. To me, it's flat out, it's wrong, obviously, like you said. But it's also, it can be prevented. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from you.
It can be. So no prevention is 100%, and we shouldn't expect that. But there are some fairly simple things we can do to make you less of a target. I tell the story about walking through the woods with my friend, and we encounter a bear. All right. And you'd think you would just start running, right? No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some running sneakers, because I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun my friend. I don't actually have many friends. So, you have to make yourself a little less of a target than the next guy.
Right.
coming back to those spray and pray attacks, right? If you don't fall victim to one of those spray and pray attacks, or if your network is harder to break into than the next guy, the hackers are going to move on to the next guy. They're going to move on to the easy target. So we don't have to make you invulnerable. We just have to make you harder than average to break into, and they won't do it.
Well, thank you for that. And what's coming up next for, what are you excited about coming up next for Impact Business Technology, or breaking out of COVID, or whatever it is? What excites you most right now, Neil?
I am looking forward to travel again. That's one of my personal favorites. I haven't seen many of my customers in a long time. And like I say, for us, this is a relationship-based business. So I can't wait to go out and shake hands and share lunch, or just go and meet them and get caught up and find out where the business is and what they need. I've had my fill of Zoom meetings, although it's saved us in this last year. So I'm looking forward to getting out and reacquainting myself with my customers.
Yeah, likewise. And I think, in the conversations and the interviews I've had, everybody kind of in the business owner world seems to agree about Zoom, where they couldn't stand it in the beginning, and then they realized, man, this thing is making us more efficient. I still have human contact to a certain extent, but we're all tired of it, and we want to go see face-to-face, have face-to-face meetings and shake hands again, and I think that I think we're almost there. So.
I can't wait. I got my vaccine. I am ready to go.
Great. All right, so we're going to shift into supporting the Connecticut business owners and community leaders. We've got a fun little section of the show called Connecticut Rapid Fire Questions. So you ready?
Go.
All right. What's your favorite pizza place in Connecticut?
My place in Newtown.
My place?
Yes.
Newtown. Okay. Shout out to My Place in Newtown. Are you a coffee, beer, or something else guy?
Yes.
All right. So if you're going to get a cup of coffee in the morning, where are you going?
So Starbucks is on my way to work, but I'll brew it myself at home.
Okay, good. We've had quite a few Starbucks answers, so Starbucks is doing something right. No question about it. And we have 150 microbreweries in Connecticut and growing by the minute. Are you a microbrew guy?
I do like a good IPA, yeah.
Is there anybody in Connecticut that you could think of that you prefer?
Bad Sons is pretty darn good. There's also one I think it's in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and they make a beer called Fuzzy Baby Duck, which is just delightful. I love it.
Fuzzy Baby Duck. Is that like a pale ale or?
It's an IPA.
Okay.
It's heavy on the citra hops, and it's just delicious.
And then Bad Sons is in
Derby,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They make one called Dubious, which is also very good.
Dubious. So shout out to Fuzzy Duck and Bad Sons, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Finally, all right, you're in a giving mood. You want to donate. You're cleaning out your closet. You're looking through some of the clothes. You want to donate. Is there a nonprofit or a charity that comes to mind?
So there's a collection center in Newtown that we typically use, and that benefits Big Brothers and Sisters. Yeah. So that's where all of our stuff goes. But my daughter is into thrifting, so she goes to Goodwill, and there's a Goodwill outlet, if you can imagine, where you just rummage through the bins of clothes and you pay by the pound. And she loves it, and she comes back with some gems from there, so she's all over it. Well,
last week we had Jeff Weezer, CEO of Goodwill Northern and Western Connecticut, came in for an interview, and he'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So, that's great. They're a great organization.
True.
Well, I want to thank you, Neil. Obviously, Neil, the owner of Impact Business Technology in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Neil, how can you be found? Where are we going online to find you and your business?
Got it. You can go to impactbt.com. That's Impact Business Technology.
Okay. All right. And I want to thank my sponsors, Infinite Web Designs, Papa's Commercial Photography, and BRBG Insurance. Hope you enjoy the show. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks. You too.